Welcome to the Photos by Ryan vlog. My name is Corinne.
And I'm Catherine.
And today we're going to talk about metal prints. Metal prints are not something I think a lot of people know are even possible for their photos. Can you tell us a little bit more about metal prints and what we could potentially use them for?
Actually, they're used for quite a bit, and they've been extremely popular for around the last 5 years. But what they're popular in is for landscapes. So lots of artists are printing their work, landscape or fine art photography, on metal prints because it looks awesome.
Agreed.
And they last a lot longer than a piece of paper because it's literally a piece of metal. So, you know, it's fairly indestructible. In fact, it can cut you, so you got to be careful because it is a piece of metal. But what they do is most of the time they'll lay down a layer of white pigment and then they print the picture on top of it. So then you get just that nice gloss, and then they put a coating over the top to really kind of seal it all in. So this is super nice because if you get water on this, it's not going to ruin it. So you can wipe it off with a microfiber cloth. If you get a lot of fingerprints, because I have a lot of people touching all of my photos all the time, you can take the microfiber cloth, wipe all that stuff off, and you're not going to hurt any of the pigments because they are sealed in there pretty well, both on the metal side and on the sealed side. So metal prints have become super popular because they are indestructible, because they do last longer, and they give you that same kind of glossy shine, but you don't have to worry about it as much like ripping, or the sticky is going to tear it apart if you try and move it out of the album or anything like that. So these make great wall.
Do they scratch easily? Is there anything?
Depending on the type that you get. So there are two ways to do metal prints. The first is like I described, which is the way most people are doing it now, or most printers are doing it now, is to lay the pigment down and then lay stuff on top of it and then put a glossy coat. There is another type where they're taking that, they're not putting down the white layer, and they're just laying the pigment directly on top of it, which is the matted metal that I've got on the wall behind us of the couple in the vineyard. That one, they lay it directly on there and they don't put a coating over it so that it doesn't bring out the glossy. It gives it that more of a matte feel. But because the pigment is just on top, then that is a lot easier to scratch. The pigment comes off. It's more like then you have to treat it like a canvas, so that you have to be careful about touching it. You have to be careful not to put water on it because you can take all that pigment off and it does scratch.
Oh, okay. So what kinds of options? I know you mentioned that was a gloss. You mentioned this one is a matte. What kind of options are there? Is it gloss and matte are the only options, or where can people go with that?
There's really kind of 4 options, but it's not quite just black and white, 1 or 2 sort of thing. So the first, which is like this, is a high gloss. It's what's called a high gloss. And it's just like I described. So they lay the pigments, they put the sheer pigment or sealant on there, and that's the gloss, and that's what gives it the real shine. So you can see both of these are pretty shiny. Then there is what's called a mid gloss. So this one is just a little less shiny than the other, but it's the same process. They just don't lay the same coating on the top. So it's a different coating that gives it just a little less shine, so you can see more of it. And this is really a preference. It's not that one is better than the other, it's just they both are. So if you're putting it in a place where there's going to be a lot of sunshine and you don't want the glare, you go with a mid gloss. If you're going somewhere that's a little bit darker and it doesn't matter, high gloss makes those colors really pop. So just a little preference difference there. And then there is what the company I used called Satin, but it's the matte. This is still, they lay the pigment down, they lay the picture down on top of that, and then they're putting a coating on it, but it's an extremely light coating. So you still can, touch this one and you're not going to rub off any of the pigments, but it's more of that matted. So it's not even quite the same as that. Then the company that I use has what they call a sheer. So this one, they don't lay down the white pigments. They just lay down the pigments for the picture, and then they put the coating over the top. And so as you can see, the difference between the high gloss and the sheer gloss, you get a little more of that metallic feel to it. So it gives you almost like a metallic print with the metal. And it's just using the natural metal metallic feel to it to give it that different gloss. And then they have the sheer matte. So again, they just put a different coating on the top so that it's a little more matted. You don't get quite so much of the shine. But that's kind of the options that are available right now for metal prints.
And just depending on what you're looking for and the look you're going for, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot of it is just preference. If you like that metallic look, then you go with the sheer, and if you don't, then you go with the like traditional high gloss or the mid gloss or the satin.
Wonderful. Thanks for sharing all of those and giving us a little bit of details about all those. Thanks.
Yeah.
So if you do have any more questions about anything we've talked about today, you can always reach out to Photos by Orion. They're at photosbyorion.com. You can reach out on Facebook or Instagram, or also the telephone.
Yeah, at 503-385-1435. Get to talk to me.
You do.
Or email at contact@photosbyorion.com.